Hello and welcome to this week's show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are Green Wisdom Health, home of your low-cost lab work, here to educate you again about another very exciting or tiring topic. I'm not sure which one. You know, it's so dreary now outside. It is here in Texas, which doesn't happen for us very often, but it has started early this year, which I'm sure everyone else now is having the same thing going on. You're going into fall, and you're tired, and you don't know why. So the name of this show is Help. I'm so exhausted. And like I said, with the weather the way it is, it just makes it worse. So we've lost our sunshine and reason to get up and go outside and go walk or be out in the fresh air. So with that, Dr. Lewis is going to help us today understand more about our adrenals and the role that they play in our health and making us feel better, as well as many other educational items that might fly out of his head that will make you feel better as well. So, Dr. Lewis, do you want to tell us about why we feel this way during this time of the year and why we're so exhausted to start with, and we probably weren't feeling that great when we got here? So what's going on that we're just not chipper and peppy and happy?
Well, thank you to Larry who called and said, told Janet we should name this Down the Rabbit Hole, and should have a website called downtherabbithole.com. Which is true. I guess I'll never get to where I can corral my thoughts and go in one direction at any given time. So I think that's not going to change. The main thing about being healthy is create a mental and spiritual image of what healthy would be and start talking about, thinking about, and giving thanks for the good things that's happening rather than talking about the problem. And sometimes Janet and I get challenges, people that just won't get out of their own way. And we try to help them, but there comes a time where you have to kind of, tell them you're ditching, you're creating this. I got to ditch you and go to somebody that's more productive and is taking it and running with it and giving thanks for it. And we're so grateful for the people that give us the 5-star reviews and understand how much work we put into helping people get well. Well, Jen and I have been very, very, very blessed, and there's so many people that kind of stick with it. Of course, they're the ones that get the biggest results, and then there's those that feel better, and then they'll quit for a while and they come back, and we're very, very grateful. We just want to say thank you. That makes a big difference to us.
That's good. And you talk about 5-star reviews. Please give us those on iTunes, because that helps us go up in ratings and where other people can start finding our shows as well and helping them find health. So, and if you got really something bad to say, just call us directly. Don't put it on there. So.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that's your perception. We work really hard to help you get well. The thing I wanted to talk about adrenals, because that's come up several times in the last couple of days. And, you have to understand, to Larry and the rabbit hole statement, God, I love talking to this guy. He's funny. If you just support the adrenals, then you're going to be incomplete. And some people will get a little bit of information and not have enough understanding, and they actually do more harm than good. And so here goes your first rabbit hole. This is why you can't just take our information. I hope we give a lot of it and good information, but you can't take it and just run with it, because there's such a complicated way the body works. I try to simplify it. Take the toxins out, put the supplements, the good nutrition in, and have a healthy, happy, positive attitude, and it helps a lot. Just for example, most people have impaired digestion. Why are you talking about impaired digestion? We're talking about adrenals. I'll get to that. That's another rabbit hole. So you take, you have acid reflux. So you take, an acid reducer or Tums, and then you get low stomach acid, and then you get reduced B12, and then your B12 lowers your energy level, lowers your brain function. You get brain fog. So the impaired digestion can create leaky gut, more nutrient deficiencies, then it creates more acid reflux, and then it gets impaired absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. And that can lead to anemia. Low iron can cause all kinds of problems, and that can cause anxiety. Oh, not just the brain fog, but anxiety, and that can create more thyroid produced, but it's stuck in limbo. It can't convert, and then the adrenals have to take over because the thyroid can't really do it by itself. And that creates hypothyroidism, which puts pressure on the adrenal glands, and then it creates toxins and triggers because you're not digesting and eliminating them, which creates inflammation, which creates autoimmune destruction of the thyroid and other autoimmune diseases like lupus and rheumatoid Sjogren's and things like that. From that leaky gut, which creates food intolerance, which creates blood sugar spikes, especially the carbs and the sugars, which alter the gut flora. And especially if you're doing the artificial stuff like sucralose and aspartame and all that kind of stuff. Oh, and then you skip meals. Then you get more blood sugar spikes, and then that creates more stress, which puts more pressure on the adrenal glands. That increases cortisol. And if you have long-term increased cortisol, sooner or later, it's going to get tired because you don't have enough nutrients to support that. And I kind of use the analogy of, well, you're going down I-20 in the rain. Since it's raining, I'll talk about it. I-20, if it's raining, I don't even get on it. It's extremely dangerous between Longview and Dallas, or Shreveport and Dallas. But the increased cortisol, oh my God, you're going 117 miles an hour. And then, you run over somebody, you run off into the ditch, or your engine blows up. And that's what you're doing to your adrenals when you stay constantly stressed. That decreases steroids. Then you get your immune system overloaded, which goes back into creating food intolerances and more inflammation. Inflammation in gut's always part of the equation. And then, and finally, it goes into adrenal insufficiency, which feeds the thyroid. Big. How about that for a rabbit hole? It took me a while to write that, so I hope y'all appreciate it. And that's why don't get a little bit of information and do it yourself. You cannot really understand the big picture, and I can't even fix myself. I hate to say it because I think I'm brilliant. I've read hundreds of books, usually dozens and dozens per year. I read thousands of research articles over the years, and probably several hundred a year, real research, not the internet and stuff. And I can't even fix myself. And you know what that does? It stresses me out and causes adrenal exhaustion. God, I hope you like that rabbit hole, because actually I like that term, so that's why I keep mentioning it. So thanks, Larry. You're not the first one to say rabbit hole. That started with Dr. Amanda. She knows all about adrenal exhaustion while she was working on her PhD. And I have several people right now working on their PhD. And for God's sake, we have a lot of work to do to keep you up and going. But you know what? The regular people that are not working on a PhD have all kinds of stress also. So, that's what I want to, get to, talk about. And hopefully I hadn't wasted too much time there. Janet, you want to ask any kind of questions or get me back off the rabbit hole?
Well,
that was exhausting.
That was exhausting. I'm tired. Let's just try to put it all in the right perspective here. How about some classic signs and symptoms of adrenal fatigue? Because a lot of people don't even realize if that's what's wrong with them.
It's not just tired.
That's right, and it's really kind of interesting, some of these things. Dr. Lewis mentioned, fatigue and weakness, especially in the morning and afternoon. A suppressed immune system, actually.
Yeah, how many people have that? It's getting more common, so folks pay attention.
Increased allergies.
Yeah.
So,
if you're sneezing out the...
Yes.
I talked to a doctor yesterday, and he's doing a lot of stuff, and he said, they didn't even put me on a Z-Pack. They put me on some high-class, long-term prednisone. I said, well, is it working? He says, no. I said, you're dripping snot all over your patients, aren't you? And he says, how'd you know? I said, I can tell over the phone. We'll clear that up very quickly.
I thought this was interesting. Muscle and bone loss and muscular weakness have got to do with adrenal fatigue sometimes.
Yeah, pretty much. It's Some of these lists of symptoms can be attached to adrenals, thyroid, low testosterone, hormonal imbalance. So it can be anything, but yes, it's not just low testosterone, guys. It can be your adrenals are exhausted. It's not from putting up with your wife because she's not the stress person. You're the one that creates it. It's never a woman's fault.
Exactly. You're right. See why he's been married to me so long?
Yeah, I just bail myself out of that rabbit hole.
Depression is actually a sign of adrenal fatigue. So when people come into the fall like this and they start getting depressed, it may actually be an adrenal problem.
Oh. Can I jump in?
Oh, please.
Because I've talked to several people lately. I just got off the phone with a lady, another person that's working on a PhD. And she said, well, I have brain fog. Well, we talked about the poor digestion, and then it creates autoimmune disease, and it creates leaky gut, and it creates food allergies. And anytime somebody says brain fog, and this lady does have adrenal exhaustion because of trying to help raise a toddler and get pregnant and work on a PhD, I always put them on B1. It's better to do the fat-soluble benfotiamine because not only does that help take care of the thymidase enzyme that the extra candida works on, but it helps your body to make hydrochloric acid. Most people have too little, even those of you that have burping, belching, acid reflux. It's almost always too little. So B1 helps the hydrochloric acid production and helps with carb metabolism. And so a deficiency in B1, and keep in mind it's not usually that simple, but a deficiency can cause a GI disturbance, irritability. Yeah, if your husband's irritable, stir it in their coffee. Labored breathing, muscle atrophy, which Janet had just talked about, and even hand and foot pain and numbness. And me being a chiropractor, when people would come in and say, well, I've got numbness here or here or here, I didn't always assume it was a bad nerve. I also was aware that it could also be a nutrient deficiency. So thanks for letting me jump in there because that's perfect, Janet.
Well, good. Okay. Also, cravings for foods high in salt, sugar, or fat. So see, when people come in here and go, well, do you have something to help me stop craving those things? That's why it's so complex for us. We're like, where is that coming from? Is that because they're full of yeast? Do they have an adrenal problem? And that's why we don't guess, because the lab work will tell us exactly what's wrong. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But I want to address some of these other problems here that go with having adrenal fatigue. I think Dr. Lewis already mentioned autoimmune disorders, skin problems.
Yeah, we have a question about that coming up too. So thanks for your questions.
Why don't you go ahead and address the skin? We'll address the skin one since it's got to do with this anyway.
Okay.
This is from Tiffany, and she was listening to our podcast on acne, wrinkles, and rashes. Thank you, Tiffany.
We got one person listening.
She's just started taking some of our recommended supplements. And is it normal for your skin to flare up a little at the beginning?
And then read what Lauren, her answer to that was.
Lauren answered this question for us, which I love it when our patients get involved. And if you're wondering where we're getting this from, this is on Dr. Lewis's Shooting Straight with Dr. Lewis on Facebook, which you can ask to be a member of, and then you can be involved in some of these discussions. They're pretty fun. Lauren's answer to this about the skin was, I've heard that I've had the I've had the keratosis on the back of my arm since I was little, and the only time I got it to completely go away was when I cut out gluten entirely. It could be related to a sensitivity, but I think it's 100% a gut issue. So we've educated Lauren really well. She's been with us a few years.
Lauren's a young lady, and she's brilliant, cute, sweet. Love talking to her. And, of course, her mama, Sonia, is one of our favorites, too. They have the whole family getting healthier and investing in better health, and it shows.
So the answer to Tiffany's question about the skin flaring up at the beginning?
Well, I do think it's possible. Gluten, I think Lauren's right. And you've heard me say I don't think gluten's the main issue. I think it's gluten with the glyphosate, the Monsanto Roundup stuff. The other thing is, once you start taking a lot of supplements, I think you get challenged because, oh my God, here comes a symptom, and some people are so scared. That's a East Texas term. You're so scared, oh, something's changed, so you quit. It's like, well, that's when you need to stick with it, because when you get an increase of nutrients, you also get increased detoxification. So many times these toxins are beginning to come out and go into the bloodstream or being excreted through the bile, through the liver, the bile, and into the small intestine. And if your body's not really getting rid of it fast enough, then it starts to come out through the skin. So, just kind of bear with us there. Is it a toxin of gluten, glyphosate, or just increased detoxification your body has not caught up with? And we've got a lot of products for that.
Very good. Okay, that fit in very nicely. Also, signs of classic adrenal fatigue are increased PMS or menopausal symptoms.
Men, shut up. Don't even go there.
At least the men get out of that one.
No, we don't.
Us poor women were just bombarded with so much.
Oh, bull.
And then the next
us
one.
Men have to suffer. Okay, men, shut up. I got the shut up look.
The next one, low sex drive. Again, women have got to go through that.
I hear that a lot, and it's not just women, it's men too, and that's the hormonal imbalance. You kind of have to invest a lot.
I love how they tell you, though, that they don't have that. They'll walk up to me and go, oh, no, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. I'm perfectly fine.
Because Janet's really, really gorgeous, and they're saying, oh, no, I'm good.
And then they'll walk over to Dr. Lewis and singing a different tune.
Yeah. Well, nobody wants to admit it in front of somebody that good looking.
Oh, women admit it all the time to each other.
They tell me, and it's when I turn red, they kind of back off. But
more signs of adrenal fatigue. Isn't this one interesting? Lightheadedness when getting up from sitting or lying down.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of more technical stuff I won't get into, but the adrenals have to do with putting out all kinds of different things, mineral corticoids, and it has to do with blood pressure. So if your adrenals are tired, simply put, when you get up quickly from laying down or sitting, and the adrenals their task is to raise your blood pressure temporarily. Well, if they're tired and can't do that, then the blood pressure will drop in your head temporarily. Because they can't keep up, and it'll make you dizzy or lightheaded, or see stars sometimes. And you can get that from taking different medications also. So be careful with that.
Also, a decreased ability to handle stress. So if you think you're starting out really great in the morning, and 30 minutes after you're at work, it's gone, and you're not doing so great, it could be that you have an adrenal problem.
Sound like a good Jeff Foxworthy joke.
Poor memory.
What'd you say?
It's basically you're just checked out. And interestingly enough, people with adrenal fatigue often get a burst of energy around 6 o'clock at night, and then they're
That's
really
not from the alcohol when you get home. It's from your adrenals.
Nope. Followed by sleepiness at 9 or 10 o'clock, which is often resisted. So then you get a second wind at 11 o'clock, which is then common that you do not fall asleep until 1 a.m. And furthermore, those with adrenal fatigue often have abnormal blood sugar levels and mental disturbances such as increased fears and anxiety, and they rely on coffee, soda, and other forms of caffeine to keep them going.
I love my Contigo because it hides what's in it.
This is so revealing. And unfortunately, because like Dr. Lewis said, all of these things can be so many different things. And that's why we never guess, because we would be no better than you walking into your local health food store because...
Except our supplements are better quality, but...
Correct.
You'd still be guessing.
There's still so many people that are coming in here and go, well, can you just pick like a couple of things of where to start? And they give us a list of this kind of stuff.
Well, let me go down the rabbit hole and pick something for you.
Yeah.
We'll pull it out of the rabbit hole.
I mean, it's like, really,
I love that.
I would hate to guide you in the wrong direction. That's why we do the lab, because it will tell us exactly, because I can tell you, hey, you got an adrenal problem, but does that mean your cortisol is high or is it low? You don't know. You don't know without running lab, and that's why we run cortisol on our lab, because we have specific supplements for either direction.
And it can be just slightly below or above optimal and still create a problem. And there's people say, but I'm not stressed. I said, well, you just went through a major surgery, or somebody in your family did, or you've gone through a divorce, or, oh, you just got married. Yes, getting married is stressful, even though it's a wonderful thing, honey. Having a baby is stressful, even though it's a big blessing. You've got to understand that these changes, stress your adrenal glands, and when it stays chronically stressed or fatigued, it promotes weight gain. That's a big thing. Women say, can you help me lose weight? And yeah, 50% of you that do my program lose weight like crazy. The other 50%, it's hard, it's slow. You've got to really make some big changes, and you have to be comfortable with those changes. And that's the hard part, is because change is generally uncomfortable. Because the excess stress, creates the imbalance. And if you're not energized, that will alter your gut integrity. And that was that list that I went on and on and on about. I hope you got something out of it, or run this back and play it slowly. But the gut integrity has a lot to do with the leaky gut, and that creates the inflammation that I talked about. And that's a big major factor in weight gain, obesity, and fat retention. That alone will alter the microbiome, or the good bacteria there, and create just kind of a rampage, a vicious cycle, so to speak. And for people that have trouble losing weight, when you get stressed, your body shuts down digestion for the most part, because it shunts everything it can to the muscles for the fight or flight. You've heard of that, I'm sure. And one of the biggest stresses that our ancestors a long time ago faced was lack of food. It was feast or famine. And so when there was a feast, we started developing, over a period of tens of thousands of years, the genetic response was, oh, if I can spare the calories, put it into fat, then this person is going to make it through the famine. So the fat-sparing genes were altered over time, and that's why you can eat very, very little and not lose weight. And so you have to be able to stick with it and hit all of these different avenues to help your body adapt and feel like it's safe to let go of the fat cells. That's scary.
Well, the other thing about adrenals is, like Dr. Lewis said, so many things can cause you to go into a state of being stressed. But the adrenals do try to handle it up to a certain point, and that's when the cortisol goes high, because it's trying to handle it. After a point in time when it doesn't get any help and you keep staying under stress, the adrenals say, hey, I quit. So then they drop really low with the cortisol. Mm-hmm. So that takes a longer time to get those back to where they should be, because it took them a long time to get there. So, when you're listening to this show and you're going, hey, I think this is me and I think I want to try this, you really need to know where your cortisol levels are. And
you don't need to try it. You need to jump in and do it. There's a difference between trying and doing.
Yeah, you need to know. So we always recommend that you do the comprehensive lab panel that we have, because it has 12 different lab panels, and one of them is cortisol. And many of the things that Dr. Lewis is reading off here can be other things as well. So that's why we run 12 different lab panels, not the common 1 to 3 lab panels that we see people bring us that they think are complete. They are not complete. They're not even close to being complete. We like a thorough picture of where your health is going. And you're thinking, hey, I don't live here. We're in Longview, Texas. you're right, you don't live here, but you don't have to. We can do this throughout the United States, and it works very simply. You go to greenwisdomhealth.com, you fill out a health survey. It'll actually recommend you the right lab panel. So if you don't want to talk to us, or I can't imagine why, but you might not want to talk to us and you might want to just go right on and order the lab, you can actually do it right there. Everything's set up online where it lets you see what the lab location is that's close to you. You print out the lab order, you take it into your local lab draw station, whatever state that is, and the results come back here to us. And when you select the comprehensive lab panel, it includes going over the details of that with Dr. Lewis. And you also get a supplement recommendation of where to start so that you're not alone, that you have a roadmap of how to get there. You get a functional medicine report. We just don't believe in leaving you in the dark. We would like you to start having a map to get your health back, to get hope back, to get life back.
There was a lady I talked to in California the other day, and I said, well, how'd you find us? And she said, on somebody else's podcast. And then she said, my husband and I listened to yours, and you're just like a real person. I said, well, I don't know what unreal is, but I just kind of call it the way I see it. And she says, well, I just don't want to take a bunch of supplements and not know what to do, and that's why I came to you, because it sounds like you can target that. And I said, yes, ma'am, absolutely. And she says, well, I don't really have any problems. I just, want to help do it to perhaps, prevent problems. And it's like, well, you are a wise and beautiful woman, and now her husband, I'm going to get to talk to him pretty shortly. So some of the things, and this is going to be brief, one of the things to get rid of some of the bad yeast, fungus, viruses is we're having incredible results with. It's called Candicid Forte. That'll clean up and kill off or suppress the bad bacteria, yeast, and all that. If your adrenals are low, which most people have gone into adrenal exhaustion before they get here, we use a product called Adren-All. And that is absolutely incredible. It has a little bit of vitamin A, C, E, some other things. But it has a glandular in it, which I'm very, very, I've gotten some really incredible results with the glandulars. Then it has eleuthero root, rhodiola, schisandra, licorice root extract. And all of those are known both historically, clinically, and through research to work to help support the adrenal glands. And there's other things that are very important. The B complex is very important. The pantothenic acid, which is B5, adrenal glands basically can't function adequately without pantothenic acid. Believe it or not, you can't get enough of that out of your diet. It's impossible. Then the raw adrenal glandular, which I talked about, which that can be cortex or different parts of the adrenal glands. CoQ10, the multivitamins. Some people actually need copper. That doesn't come up much, but almost everybody needs zinc and selenium, and that's very, very important.
We do want to make sure we address the other question that we had from Eddie. We love Eddie.
Yeah.
He's always got great insight and great questions. His question is about parasites, which no one wants to talk about. We believe that our dogs only get them. But believe it or not, if you have a dog or a cat, you probably have them too. But he wants to know if there are such things as good parasites in our intestines. And I don't know that we'd really classify good bug as a parasite.
Because parasite would be a taker and not a giver. And many bacteria, yeast also, they're good yeast. There's so many different microorganisms. If it's parasitic, that means it's taken and not given back. So I think, no, a good one, no. Is it possible we have them? I've had several different types of doctors, naturopathic, chiropractic, dentists, and MDs that said they don't exist. And it's like, well, why do you worm your dogs, cats, horses, and cows? Well, they don't exist here. And it's like, you're so full of it. Read your research. There's all kinds of research that says we have them. We just think we don't have them because when you go to Mexico, you get Montezuma's revenge, and it's like, well, maybe when the Mexicans come up here, they get it from America too, and we got a bad bug when we were in China. So, yeah, that's why the Candida forte is a really good thing, and
well, actually, yeast is a parasite.
Candida is, and that's why one of our favorite probiotics includes Saccharomyces boulardii, which is a probiotic yeast, a good yeast. So there's good and bad, just like there's good and bad women. Okay, no, they're all good. I'm sorry.
This show always digresses to this.
Well, hey, give me a cold beer.
Speaking of which, we are at the end of our time, so I sure hope you guys have learned something about your adrenals this week and how to take care of them and how to feel great during the fall.
Laugh and play and have fun and choose to think happy thoughts and look over at all the things you should be grateful for. And we're very, very grateful for you.